Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I know those are all out of order, but whatever time in the day, time zone, time period, wherever, whenever you guys may be watching, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Bumba. We got the bear here. And thank
Yep,
you for joining us on another episode of Bumba and the Bear. So happy to have you guys here again.
absolutely, bro. I'm happy that we actually able to record consistently now. Hopefully,
Yep.
um, that's why I didn't put a set schedule on the banner because we
Yeah.
never actually know.
Yeah, we're still working out like the timeline and all that of like we will record, when we'll do what, etc., etc. Because like we got shit to do. Hopefully, once we get some socials up and running, got some clips ready, all that, and just more stuff on the way. We'll hopefully be more consistent if we actually do start popping off. But we appreciate the support we have so far.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go
Last
on. Go on.
episode, 32 views is definitely nothing to scoff at. You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
thank you so much for everyone for the support.
Yeah, no, thanks a million, guys. But enough waffling. Let's get started. I guess we'll start off with our first segment today. It's gonna be a bit of about dating apps. Valentine's Day is actually just around the corner, so perfect time to discuss
Yeah,
about people's love words. You get what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
So Reno, why don't you kick us off for the segment?
So yeah, basically, we wanted to just talk about how dating apps are because out of the two of us, Peter's the one that uses it more than I do. And by more means like I use it not at all, and he actually uses it. How often would you say you use like a dating app?
Like I would use it every day, but not for long periods of time. Like it's kind of like doom scrolling on like YouTube Shorts or Instagram. Like when I want to kill time while waiting for like some food or on a game, like maybe like 5-10 minutes. Also, it just depends on the mood I'm in. Like sometimes I will be on for longer periods of time, but it's very dependent. But I'd say it's more like it functions like a social app where you're just on it just to kill some time, pretty much.
Interesting, right? Because like I never understood like the hype of it. Like I used it one time, but that was like in high school, and I literally don't think I was in the age of it, so I just like lied about my age. Um, but I just like didn't use it after that though. Um, yeah, so I looked up like a video on it, like how the apps work. So like honestly, it didn't make me very hopeful about it, but at least like for people our age, because I've seen studies where like they're actually pretty successful for like people like 30s, like in the like above their 30s, like they actually find high success of like finding someone that they get married, you know. But to be fair, like out of a lot of our friends, like I can name two couples like that had technically happened from online dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I see like the appeal to it. But what do you think? Like you try to convince me like what are some of the benefits?
Uh, benefits.
Nice. Okay. Go on.
No, okay, okay.
Oh,
I
bro.
like. I'm kind of like I'm lying, but I'm not lying because in a sense there are benefits, but specific apps function in different ways, more or less. Now you might be thinking to yourself and some of the audience members, what the hell does that even mean? Aren't they all meant to find you a date at the end of the day? And to an extent, yes and no. I would say it's just really dependent from app to app. Like an example would be Tinder. That's more of a hookup app. But then you were to look at something like Bumble, I would say that's something more in between. It can be either relationship or hookups. And then there's something like Hinge, where I personally find that more to be an actual proper dating app. And then the way the apps themselves are constructed, Tinder and Bumble, you get like 20 to maybe 30 swipe rights or yeses on the app every day or every 12 hours, depending on either or app. But then something like a Hinge, you can only say yes 5 times, but around 5 times, 5 or 6 times. I can't remember specifically. But the nice part about it, an app like that, is that that one you can feel like there's an effort where they actually do want you to find a significant other and have a healthy relationship. So the way the app itself is constructed is meant to be more meaningful conversations compared to something where like Tinder and Bumble, they're just more Tinder, especially. It's definitely just meant more or less for hookups and quick and short relationships. Bumble, not like it has some things Hinge has. It has some things Tinder has. Like example, Hinge, you can actually when you send a like, you can actually send a compliment based on a specific prompt. Bumble has that. Tinder does not have that, to my knowledge, at least. And then the fun part about not really fun part, but the interesting part about Bumble is the woman actually has to start the conversation first. But the downside of that is I personally feel like the women on that app are a bit more stingy with who they select because they're the ones who have to initiate the conversation.
I noticed that like at least from the research I've done, like women are just more stingy in general, like among all the dating apps. At least like the ones I looked at, which are like Bumble and Tinder. Like the data
Mhm.
like shows it up. But I think this is more because like how the meta works on dating apps is the term I would describe it. I can't think of a better term. But it's you know, just like stuff like how like there's more male users than female users. And because of that, like, men, and I'm sure you do, like at least on like Tinder, I would assume it's like you don't really like think about that hardly, or like you're more your standards aren't as, I don't want to say high, but like basically you're just more likely to like swipe right or like someone
Mhm.
than you would like you said on Hinge. That's like more, I would assume is more based off like a profile, and it's like more detailed and gives more information about like the actual person than just like Tinder was like photos and like short
Mhm.
description, music, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I get it from like the women's side though. It's just because like women know that like men just like swipe a lot, without really think about if they're actually like interested in them. So they probably just like hesitate because, like what's the point of like matching with someone even though they're probably likely not that interested in you, or they didn't like consider you that closely,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, no, no. It's so hard because when it comes to like, because for me personally, I always come at it from a different perspective as to where like, because I have friends who have used dating apps, and I always question, well, why are they more successful compared to myself in terms of that? Because I'll be honest, and I like being honest. For me, it's not the best. Like I'm not saying like I get nothing at all, but compared to other friends who might get like 5 to 10 likes within a week, I may get one in a week, right?
Yeah.
It's not much comparatively, and that's because at the end of the day, each side, both men and women, they do have preferences, and I think for what I have at least does not meet their preferences.
Yeah.
I have been told by other friends from both male and female that they say like, "Oh, hey, you need to have a solid profile. Like, if you really want to catch their attention, you need no selfies. Selfies don't look good. If you have group photos, make sure that you're the best looking person in the group photo, and
Yeah.
other things such as that. Like, there are more factors, surprisingly, than you expect there to be behind the dating meta. It's crazy that I'm using the word meta, but there is a meta on how to approach it, at least from the men's side.
Yeah.
Woman's side, as you said, men standards. It's not that standards, is that men don't care as much for what they want at the end of the day, at least when it comes to a relationship or something short term. While for women, they look behind more than just the looks themselves. They kind of think differently when it comes to that. Now, am I a woman? No. So I cannot say whether it's true or not. But this is kind of what I think it is. Now, of course, if we do have any woman viewers, I'd be surprised if we do. But if we do, but if we do, like, let us know like what you guys think, because like I could be completely wrong, or it could be extremely right.
Yeah. I see what you're saying about like setting up the profile and like how you have more consideration as like a guy. It was actually interesting because a lot of women, at least from what I've noticed, is like a lot of them don't actually put as much effort as or they're more less likely to put as much effort in their profiles. Like they would just like put like a random photo that they think they look good, and then they're just like off and ready to go on those
Mhm.
kind of apps. And what you were saying, like, with the guys, I should have like a stat about like them swiping. And it
Mm.
said men on Tinder are 3 times more likely to swipe like on women than women are to men. So it's like 46% to 14%,
Interesting.
respectively, which is like interesting. And back what you were saying, like I think your experience, what you were saying, Pete, with like how many matches you get, that's actually like around like the average experience most guys have.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, there's like this Hinge engineer that like he shared that like that actually 50% of the likes on or that are sent to women on the app only go to like 25% of like women that are on the app, and then 50% of the likes that are sent to men only go to 15% of the men on the app, or yeah, male profiles. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, that's what I've noticed. Like, which would you go like to preferences? And I was thinking because you think like preferences are like subjective, but at least like the data shows that like there are some objective things that like people would prefer, or the term I would this encompass it as is like attractiveness. I
Mm-hmm.
think, right?
Yeah.
Um, then all I really thought about is like, do women rate men differently? Which you already went over. Like there's like different considerations, but in the terms of attractiveness, I don't know. Like I would assume like what I find to be what I would want in like a partner or in a woman would be different than what a woman would want in a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traditional roles and all that stuff, but we'll get into that later. Um, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Uh, it's very strange. I can somewhat agree too, where I believe when a woman is on a dating app, they definitely do look at it differently from a man's perspective. So for myself, depending on the app, like when I'm on Tinder, I don't expect much really. I don't expect like to find like a girlfriend, let alone well, a wife, let alone a girlfriend, right? Like on that app, based on the culture that's been built, that app is solely meant not solely meant for hookups, but it's like 80%. I would say 80% it is that. It is mainly that. Like I don't see it as really more or less anything else. I would say it is hard to find relationships using that app just because of how the culture has been built around that app.
Yeah.
And then once again, you go to Bumble. Like the thing with Bumble is that it's like I said, it's a halfway between an actual proper dating app and then just a hookup app. Where like you get very similar profiles to Tinder, but it gives you more details compared to a Tinder profile. And then there's Hinge. Hinge is my favorite only because that one is I believe the best one for relationships for people around our age because that one it makes you select only so little in a day, but the nice part about it is that you really think on who you would want to like, and then also it's not as large compared to Tinder, and it's not as um, crowded. Like there's not as many prospects. But the nice thing is, similar to myself, I at least I think that a lot of people who are on that app are specifically looking for dates overall.
Yeah, so they're more
And
serious. You would think, right?
yeah, more serious. So like it really depends from what app you go to, from how the perspective is. I think Tinder, a lot men and women think the same. While I think something like Hinge, that's where you really get down into the detailed thinking, like, what can I see myself with this person in the future, or can I see myself even going on a date with this person? So it definitely does differ from map tap the way an individual is to think on who they are saying yes to or who they're saying no to. Tinder is like just the doom scrolling app, and
Mm.
then while you have something like Hinge, where it's the more methodical thinking behind it.
Yeah, what I did want to ask. Do you think like because from what I saw after like my research, all I thought was like, okay, like this is like online dating has like its own meta, like we used
Hmm.
before, right? But I don't know if it's actually representative of like dating in real life, basically, and how just like modern dating is in general. Like, do you think like the issues of Tinder and like all these dating apps are because of how modern dating is today, or is it just because? or is just Tinder just like its own bubble, and dating apps are just like in its own world, basically?
I feel like dating apps it's its own world, or something like Tinder and Bumble, and then you have like the outskirts of the bubble where it's like actual proper dating apps. It's the dating world is something, or dating apps is something very different from actual relationships in the actual dating world. At least to my perspective, because the thing is, it's like when you meet with someone in real life, you have these meaningful conversations and you actually get to know these people. It's not like an app where you're behind a screen, so you don't really know how you're going to discuss, or more or less, you know how you're going to interact with someone based on their profile. But the issue with that is you're never going to really know someone's true character behind a screen. While comparatively to something in real life, if you're going to meet someone in like a coffee shop or somewhere like in a school event or a public event, it varies depending on the scenario in real life, and it varies on how you interact and if you really like that person after getting to know them. While Tinder is more, I've talked to them for a couple of days, but I still don't really know them as a person until I meet them in real life. So I feel like at the end of the day, while you can achieve getting dates from apps, and at the same time just socially being social in real life and interacting with others in real life, it's very different how the approach is overall, and the goals can be very different as well. So it's I wouldn't say complex, but it is. They are definitely at the end of the day two different scenarios. I will say that much.
Yeah, one last thing though. So why do people then actually do online dating if it's like not representative of how actual dating is like? You would say.
So online dating, see the thing with online dating is that eventually it might lead to a real date, and eventually might lead you to that. Also, some people just enjoy the thrill of hookups. Like that's all they want in the end. They just want a partner, and they just want to get down and dirty, and like it sounds very stupid the way I'm saying it, but like that's generally what some people use the apps for, only exclusively for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I'm not saying it's unachievable to get a proper date from using dating apps, but it
Yeah.
is definitely more difficult, I would say, compared to just showing your true character in public and just being yourself and interacting, and because it allows other people to to know you better at the same time.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the reason I thought was more different, which you're right, and it is because like there's always like a possibility that there could always like one of these matches could actually turn out to be like an actual relationship, and that's something like long term, right?
Mm.
But I feel like the way it's like marketed and presented, I think it's more like it's like a confidence check. I think in a sense, or like I feel like people, at least like in our age range, like I know like older people, like when they're in their 30s, I feel like they just use it more just to like expand their pool of dates, because like they feel like they've gone through everyone in their town, okay,
Hmm.
or like yeah, like they examined everyone, they couldn't find anyone in like in their local area, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like people have like the idea of, because I'm sure people already know that like a certain like top percentage of people um get all like the matches basically, or most of them. And so I feel like there's like a curiosity that like, oh, maybe I am one of those people. And then like it feels really good to like, if you do end up getting like a bunch of like likes and matches, right? But like at
Hmm.
the end of it, but most people aren't that, because like those people are the exception. So most people go in and they just leave out just feeling more insecure. But like
Hmm.
if you actually just like didn't do all that and just like dated in real life, you wouldn't actually feel that bad, right? Because like I feel like people's standard in dating apps aren't. I feel like they're inflated in a sense, just because like they only see like the best of what people want to show others, right? At least
Yes.
like when you in real life, you can just catch someone on a bad day, and
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least like no,
Yeah.
like, and then then you see them again like multiple times. Like you see
Yeah.
different facets um and the different states people are at in real life. But in
No,
like
you're
online, you
definitely.
only see them in like one light, and
Yeah.
that's the one they want you to see. So
Hmm.
yeah, but I honestly, to go back to what we're talking about, if it was modern dating is affecting it, I think it is in a sense. because like you said, there is some overlap between like at least with the real dating apps. The hookup apps are whatever, they're their own thing, right? Um, and like going back to us saying that like I think especially men like because women on average get like more matches than men. We all know this, right? So I feel like men specifically, like they actually feel like a lot more worse, right? And like in previous
Yeah.
podcasts, and I think in all of them, like we talked about the red pill, right? And I think those apps kind of like lead them down. It's like kind of in a funnel to get there eventually. In the
Mhm.
worst case, I think. But yeah, what do you think?
Um. Yeah, I feel like the thing with dating apps is that you are correct in a sense where like it is a confidence check, and a lot of people's self-esteem definitely does dip when they're not getting as many match compared to other men or even friends that they might know. But at the same time, for a lot of people, in some cases, only it's their last resort, more or less. Like some people, they're like, I've tried going out in public, I've tried talking, I've tried doing this, tried doing that, nothing's really working. Let me give this a try. It's very unique in a sense to how people end up on a dating app, where there's just curiosity, whether it's try to be a confidence boost, but then it ends up just drowning their own confidence, and making them feel even worse than they already were feeling before. But I feel like at the end of the day, it shouldn't be what all men rely on. I feel like it should be a thing to where they can test it out, see how it is, maybe even practice their game, quote unquote, and try and get back into the swing of things. Because some people just need to learn how to talk to women. Some smelly men in the world are just some sad pieces of shit. Like they, in reality, like it might suck actually using the app, but hey, for some people, it's a way for them to learn and how to talk to women, how to interact, how to have basic conversations. So it's a it's not horrible. Dating apps are not horrible at the end of the day. Would I ever recommend it to someone who's trying to enter the dating scene? Not really. I would recommend it for someone to maybe, try real life first. I touch grass pretty much. I'm telling people
Yeah,
to
no,
touch grass,
literally.
but yeah, but that's the best way to start. And then, maybe if you just want to say this isn't really working out, I want to try a different perspective, maybe not perspective, but a different method of trying to obtain a date or trying to go out, meet new people, then I feel like dating apps should be the second option out of the two. But
Yep.
that's just my take on it. Those are like my concluding remarks.
And while researching this, because I know in the last two episodes, I think in every episodes, at least we touched on the red pill, at
Yeah.
least. And I feel like again, like this like relates to it in a sense. This will be like the next segment, or it'll be a lot shorter, but I think this is like its own topic to explore on its own, and
Yeah.
it's just like because I think about like what we just like talked about. It's like a lot of like men's their egos really get hurt on these apps, specifically by women,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because like they feel like they're overlooked, they get rejected. 'Cause I also seen like from the little likes that they do get, they either like they're just ignored, or they get ghosted. So all that like collimates really, I think, and to at least I think that's like the motivator behind like why people want to like listen to the red pill, right? Because like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it just manifests itself as like wanting to get revenge on like those women that have heard us. Like I've talked to like a friend of ours, and like he was talking about like another friend that's like he's like into like this red pill stuff, and he's at least he's in the shallow waters of it. And like he told me, he's like, oh, a lot of it was like it was literally just all started off because like one woman heard him like really in the they were kind of dating. He got heartbroken, and then now he just sees all women that's the same, and then he's like all on that, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I think like you know like I just said, like he's stuck in the shallow waters. Like I think when people go really in deep there, it gets like really dark. Where like people that like a lot of men or young men just want to get to a point where they dominate women, like in the sense like where it's like a toxic form of like the traditional values where like the woman that they're with can't literally do anything except cook, clean, whatever the other stereotypes are, right? And and when that manifests themselves, like they'll just like click on anyone that any red pill that like feeds that that evil desire of them to. This is the only way I can call it. It's pretty evil,
Yeah.
right? Because like think about like Fresh and Fit, right? Logically, if you think about it, like they're not really qualified to give like any men teach anything about like relationships or how to like form a healthy or a thriving relationship that's like long term. Because like they're not even in marriages. Like they just go with a bunch of women. They've like allegedly they have to pay out women to sleep with them, right? Like it's interesting, but they feed that desire to like because they're like they to get revenge on women that rejected them, right? Instead of looking of like like older men that have been in marriages for like decades and decades, but like young men now just go over to like those people. In a sense, I feel like that's just because like a lot of fathers figures and a lot of like older men have failed to like really like. I feel like the red pill overall it makes like men feel like seen and like you feel like they're actual people in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Rogo, what do you think about like what I've been saying?
I don't like the red pill. I've never really liked it. I
Mm-hmm.
hate what it stands for. Like, I hate certain things about it. I will say that. Maybe not everything about it. But my issue with the red pill is you have these people, these other men, trying to what they want to achieve. I like, but the way they go of achieving it is what disappoints me. You have someone like, I know we keep mentioning them, but they're the best examples we have right now. You have a group like Fresh and Fit. Like you have these men who have been through, I guess I'm not sure if they ever had a proper relationship, but they've been through relationships and they've interacted with a lot of different women and they understand how a lot of them think differently. But the way they go about trying to inspire young men is just creating a new line of toxic environment where instead of other men trying to better themselves, they would rather have them degrade women and belittle them just because they didn't get their way. And it's like, because one woman hurt me, I should hurt all other women back.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's the same, it doesn't go the other way as well. Like, I'm saying some women, like, I've heard I think it's called the Nowhere podcast or the Nothing podcast, where it's usually like this guy and he has a bunch of OnlyFans models as guests all the time, but he's not really, he's red pill in a sense where it's not Fresh or Fit where he's fucking a bunch of men. Whoa. Okay. No,
They get what you
wait.
mean.
I meant woman fucking a bunch of women and trying to uplift men, but in the wrong way. How he does it, and like I'm definitely, I hope I got the name of the podcast wrong, because like what I like is he tries to pick the brains at how essentially the red pill version of women think. Like, oh my god, oh yeah, no, I was right. The red pill version of how women think, similar to like how fuck boys or like how Fresh and Fit men act nowadays.
Yeah.
He tries to see it from their perspective now. It's like, well, why do you like to be on OnlyFans, and why do you like to cheat on other men? It definitely goes both ways, but as when it comes to just in terms of red pill in general and like the Fresh and Fit red pill, I don't like. But when
Yeah.
it comes to red pill in a sense of men trying to uplift other men to become better humans, that I can respect. So like that's why like when someone talks about Fresh and Fit, they're like, oh, Fresh and Fit said this. I'm like, well, those guys don't know anything really. They don't know. At the end of the day, they just are not evil. Evil isn't a nice way to say it, because at the end of the day, they are
I got
trying
you.
to achieve. Yeah, they're trying to achieve like they're trying to uplift men, but I feel like the way they're going at it is just wrong, or it could be improved on.
Yeah, it's like,
That's my.
yeah. Honestly, it reminds me of like the Bible verse of like the blind leading the blind. I think.
Mhm.
I feel like they don't have bad intentions. Yeah, I definitely don't think like they have bad intentions in what
Yeah.
they're trying to do. I just don't think it's helpful. And you know, when a blind person leads another blind person, they're gonna fall. They're both gonna fall into pits. And until like young men actually get proper teaching, or I guess I don't want to blame it on all young men. Also, it's also like the role models in our lives and people's lives. The male role
Mhm.
models that probably should have been doing a better job, because there are some things that like the red pill and the people like Andrew Tate, right? Like there's and Jordan Peterson, if you want to consider him, then he fits into it. There's some practical things that like a lot of men like aren't, or a lot of young men aren't getting taught by their fathers. So like, yeah, like of course like they want to like be teaching them like or they of course they want to listen to them because like they're getting something that they can't really find anywhere else in real life, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to get your opinion because I feel like a lot of like the root problem with like young men is, you know, for our left leaning fans, it has to do with the patriarchy, I think. In the sense that like the patriarchy and feminism, obviously, like I don't want to write it off. I know I'm right leaning, shocker, but
a Christian being right leaning,
yeah,
quite surprising to me.
Right, but I have to give credit where credit is due, right? I'm not gonna like dismiss, you know, something just because like it's on the other side of my political spectrum. Like obviously there's a lot of good things that came out of feminism. Like they can actually vote now, they can earn degrees, you know, they can actually work and sustain for themselves. Like all those things are really good. And right now, like women are thriving, to be honest. Like even educationally and in the workplace, they're thriving. And that's awesome to see. But like the whole point of feminism was like to fix like the patriarchal system, right? Like they wanted to fix like the sexism and all the biases that like, you know, the people at the top had. Because, you know, the people at the top were just old white men. You know, they have their own sets of biases, so they wanted to fix it. But I think that it led to overcorrection, and I think that's where the problem was. Like that women, it's good the women are on our head, but like men are being left behind in a sense. And I think that's why there's just like a problem with it with young men. Like they feel forgotten, right? Right. And obviously I know some people like will say that and be like, Reno, you're just a misogynist, you know? Why would you say that? But to be honest, if like you can't see that's the issue and like that's where the root cause is, like we're just never gonna fix this issue with men. Because you can't just like ignore the root cause and try to treat the symptom by like saying, oh, red pills is bad and like just don't listen to the red pill. Right? Like that's just people, like young men just latching onto the red pill. That's just like a symptom of like the bigger problem, right? Like I have some stats to like back it up. Like right now in history, like like the unemployment rate, I'm pretty sure is the highest for 25 to 34-year-old men. Like I don't think it's been this high in history. And like what we were saying, like the dating market is just harder now, especially back like think about like the 60s, right? Where like women didn't work at all, right? So they had to be relying on men. But like nowadays, women actually just are more educated. They actually earn more. Like I think I remember seeing a study where nearly 50% of the women earn as much or more than their partners, right? So now women's standards are higher because they're, to be frank, like, which makes sense for them. Like good on them for having good standards. Like they're not going to date a man who's earning like not as much as them or not earning more than them. Like they're just going to dismiss them, right?
Yeah.
And so, and you know, and like Bucky were saying, like OnlyFans, like now because you know how challenging it is for men, and like they don't really have like a north star, so to say, of how to like approach this like new dating market. They either go to the red pill or like they just like, you know, they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna just, you know, watch porn instead. Or now like we talked about last episode, now AI girlfriends are coming up, AI companionships are coming up, so they might just choose that instead of like going into actual relationships, taking a stab at it. You know, and like they just and try to do with other things, like even like video games. I know a lot of the people are listening like they love it, and I'm not talking about them, but I'm saying like some people just become addicted to video games, and then like they just neglect actually going out and like experiencing like new things, like
yes,
so yeah, like you know, trying new hobbies, meeting new friends, just because like video games are just a lot easier, you know, and yeah, go
just to comment on that, it's just like the issue with how, because now we have a society where it's like we have men that are too scared to try new things and to go out more because they're scared of socially interacting with others. And of course, it's the same thing with women. But now we have like an imbalance where like well, women won the top 1%, and now men are just going for and aiming too low. So now we have this issue where while one gender thinks quite highly of themselves, the other thinks the complete opposite now, and they kind of more or less degrade themselves in a way where
Yeah.
they just don't have the confidence anymore. They don't want to try new things. They stick to what they're comfortable with because they're fearful of the unknown. And then you have another side where it's like, oh, the way society was built, we still need more rights and we're still mistreated. Now, I'm not going to disagree and say that, women don't face a lot of issues, new and old issues, still to this day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't fight for issues for women, but then not want to fight for the benefit of men as well. There needs to be a sense of equality where yes, we want women to be better, and yes, we want them to get everything equal, similar to men. But then when it comes to men's issues, if they're not willing to support them when they're at their lowest, or when there's just common social issues or for men around the world, like especially mental health, how men I don't know the exact stat, but I do know that men suffered through more mental health problems compared to women.
I'll get into that. Yeah, I have some stats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's funny enough. Shaquille O'Neal actually he I'll mention something that he brought up. Men, he believes that men should never open up to a woman because the men should be the support pillars for women. And while I agree to this in a marriage or just in any general relationship, the issue with that as well is that everyone needs to have someone to lean on. Everyone needs someone to talk to, and everyone needs to get things off their chest. Because the more you bottle things up, that's how it leads to things like depression, mental health issues, and all worse and worse things in the future. So when we have two sides arguing, but no sides coming up with an agreement, then we're going to continue to have these issues.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like that's my thinking.
Just like to Zach's point, like I just think his like when he grew up and what he meant to be a man is like a lot different from our time.
Hmm.
Right? Like I feel like the whole thing of like toughen up, like we need, um, like there's no time for crying. Basically, that was
Yeah.
like a lot more in like, um, instilled in men because of like war. Because like no, there
Mhm.
literally wasn't any time for like us to be crying right now. Like sure, after the battle's done, sure, yeah, we can like, you know, that's what we can like just spill ourselves emotionally. But like right now, like literally, it's life or death. Like we can't have any idle time right now. I feel like that's like the more where he's coming from. But like right now, we're like in a time of peace, right?
Yeah.
And ironically enough, like that a time of peace, at least like in the labor market, that actually favors women more than men right now. Because like there isn't much need for like soldiers or physical labor or anything like that. And like with other trends, like with automation, now like soft skills are more valued and academics are more valued in the market, which women, to be frank, women are a lot more amped to do well in like education than men. Like
Hmm.
let's just be honest, like
Men don't have the patience for that kind of stuff. Like we just hit use duct tape when we got to fix something, and we hit it with a hammer when we got to fix it as well.
yeah, exactly. But like yeah, but like trades aren't seen as valuable as much,
Mhm.
and even when it comes to like job wages, like they actually have stagnated for every like level, every like middle class, lower class for men,
Mhm.
except for the rich men at the top. So like men are not earning more either, like right now, and even educationally, like we were saying, like because like women are now leading in education, they'll eventually, like I said, they'll be leading the workforce, and that kind of shatters like the whole traditional role of men as like men as the provider, the woman stays at home, right? But
Mhm.
like women now can kind of self sustain themselves, so uh like I said that I have is like the men account for 75% of like the decline in college enrollment overall. So there's just like a lot of men not going into like college at all. right?
Crazy. That's a crazy stat. 75% is a lot too. It's
So,
just insane.
yeah, and it's like yeah, so men receive like 74 bachelor's degrees for every 100%, for every 100 women that receive a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
So it's just, man, yeah, and like
It's
what?
also it's also just to add on to that. It's also like
Mhm.
that men are willing to do more tougher jobs than women. Like I'm not saying women don't take up these jobs such as plumbers or
And
electricians
yeah, yeah,
or woodworking, but it's the amount of men in those industries compared to women is significantly different. But
yeah,
nowadays, where it's more empowering for women to get educated, but also it's become necessary for a lot of countries where women have to become educated to get the job, so that families can actually afford housing and afford to have kids and all that. It's a lot of different factors that are really changing it. So since women overall prefer more soft skill based jobs and office work, while men are more open to taking more difficult and rough jobs, we have, like, I understand why these stats are like this now, because there's times of just change, and it's not just like social movements, but it's also economical movements, and just things becoming more difficult to purchase, and life is just becoming harder and harder to live. So when you look at overall, things are changing for the worse, but same thing for the better, because we have advanced in how families have become more strongly knit, in a sense of they need to rely on each other to provide for each other. But the same issue comes at where there's a struggle for power. Because at least back in older days, like, women were more open to being a housewife and men were more open to working. But now, since you have both parents working, and you have both parents being stay at home for certain periods of time, and you have parents spending less time with their kids because they're too busy and working, there's just so many issues now, and now it's leading to higher divorce rates, and just we're getting more and more troubled children over time, and less parents, whether it be the husband or wife, want to be in their kids life, because now they're just miserable because a lot of people are just working
yep,
uh, so much. Like, it's fucked up everywhere. It's all fucked up. And while there are positives, like I did mention, it's society has changed so much, and it's changed so quickly and drastically for some parts around the world, especially the Western parts, that now there's just a loss of, well, what is a normal family? What is a normal relationship? What is normal for men? What is normal for women? What is normal for any gender, really? It's complex. It's very complex, the world we live in now.
like one more thing to add on top of that. It,
Mm.
oh, um, just ago we were talking about mental health, and I said I was going to get a stat about that. And this is like the craziest stat I think I have on this deck, and is because men are leading the world in suicide by far,
Yeah,
obviously. In a study they looked at, like in like 20 countries, they said, I pulled this quote from it. It said, if you could make the male mortality rate by suicide the same as the female rates, you would do more good than curing cancer. That means more men die off suicide than cancer kills people. But you would be saving more lives.
that is
Only
actually that is
not even if you stopped them to like from killing themselves. Just if you just had the same mortality rate in suicide as women.
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, like now, and it's also like they also went on to say like now suicide takes more lives than war, murder, and natural disasters combined.
It's sad, but it's true. Like, a lot of people nowadays, like, instead of struggling through it, they just want to take the easy way out now, and it's very sad. And it all stems from mental health. Like, I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I feel like if your mental is not right, if you can't support yourself and you're not all there mentally, how are you supposed to support your friends, your family? How are you supposed to reach your career ambitions?
Yep.
It's important to make sure that you're all there, and it's hard for people to recognize that they either are there or not there. And it's even harder for them to then seek the help because they feel like they're just burning their loved ones. It's Mental health is a huge issue that I feel like personally is talked about in a way where people understand it's an issue, but is not talked about enough where people want to make a change and make a change for certain things to, really try to help others who are facing these issues or to prevent others from coming upon these issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my thinking behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also like a sense of like hope as well. I feel like just like I think honestly, it's ironic because like we're also like a part of it. I don't think we're giving a lot of people hope right now, just like by reading all this and talking about all this.
Hmm.
So at least
Yeah,
I want
no,
to,
of
at least I
course.
want to give them that. Like uh, people, like people need hope right now, especially because like we all see in news just like a bunch of like the war stuff. We just like with like the internet, we see everything
Hmm.
basically. We see everything that's going on in like the world, and you could just come out like very discouraged. Like what's like the point? Um, and at least like for me, like that's always been Jesus Christ. Like because like that's like who Jesus is and what he did is like that's always something that'll be set in stone. It's something that I can like latch on to in the sense, and like I feel like we need more than just like a secular hope of like, oh well, the economy just will bounce back. We'll have our food. It's like things will turn out okay.
Hmm.
Um, but like just like how I was talking about like the beginning, like some people just have like a sick desire, like at least like with the Ripple men, like they just want to, like I said, they just want to like conquer women in a sense, and that's
Hmm.
terrible. Like because like that loses their humanity in a sense.
Yeah.
Like they're just not seen as people anymore,
Yeah.
and it's like a quote I was like thinking about religion, like that remember yeah, we shared like the Assyrian bishop that we were talking about, but he said that like, and why I talk about like Jesus Christ more than just like religion in general is because religion in general can make a good person through disciplines. They can make it like a better person,
Hmm.
but Jesus Christ can changes the heart of a person, and your heart, and I don't mean like the organ, but I mean like everything that makes you you, like your soul, your feelings, your emotions, your desires, and that, and when those things change for the better, um then that makes your thoughts better, like you said with like mental health, like then you can like disarm like those thoughts that are like tormenting you. All
Hmm.
right, and then when those thoughts are done, then that means the words you speak, like you were talking about, like when your mental health deteriorates, you can't actually encourage or support the people that you love because all yours is filled up with like a bunch of negative things,
Hmm.
right? And then when your words change, that means your actions change. And that means you're not only just like speaking well to people, but you can actually get hands on with their life and actually do things and actions that really makes an impact. And I think the world will just have to change one person at a time. I don't know like if culture can change overnight. Like as unfortunate it is for now, like as much as me and you can do, we can just at least affect people and reach people that are closest to us and within
Yeah.
our reach.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that was my last thing. That's my last thing I wanted to say.
Yeah. I mean, you are definitely correct. Like, it's just the issue with the way society is now is that no one's open to accepting religions, and it's very sad how it is, and it breaks my heart honestly because I feel sad for the people like who don't even believe in a religion. Like I have respect for everyone who believes in one, even if I don't see yourself eye to eye
Right.
on whether I don't see eye to eye for like certain things about the Islamic faith or certain things about the Judaism, Buddhism, and all that. I respect the people who at least believe in something. They believe in a higher power. They believe in a god or God, the one that like Christians and Catholics believe in as well.
Yeah.
Because those people have some kind of guidance in their life, and a lot of those people don't really have these kinds of issues. Now, of course, like people who do believe in religion, they do face those issues. I'm not going to deny it. But at the same time, like, you live life every day, and at the end of the day, there is a greater purpose for you because you believe that, hey, when I'm gone from this earth, I have been able to achieve this because I was a good person, and I can achieve so much more because I have God, Allah, whatever, etc., etc.
Yeah. Um. But also one thing I want to pin, like I don't, I don't mean when I say like all these people have like evil desires, whatever to like dominate women. I don't mean it to like say it in a sense that I'm preaching down on them. I am because obviously like even the Bible says like no one is good but God in the sense, right? And we all need, at least from what Christianity says, that we all need God's grace. Because to be honest, like we do like a lot of selfish things and we really don't follow like the love your neighbor as yourself if we're
Yep.
going to be frank. So and that's like the whole point of Jesus dying, right? Because he lived a life that we couldn't live and then died on the cross so that we could be made right with God. Like, yeah, just even just praying to God is like a gift in itself. The fact that we can communicate with God when he really, like I'm sure he sees like the world and all the terrible things and all the crazy stuff we do. And I'm sure like he really doesn't need to like, intervene.
Mm-hmm.
He could just leave us to our own devices because like, you know what? I give you guys free will. You guys do what you want. You know what? That's your guys' just choice. You guys didn't want to listen to me. All right, let's see how you do. He could be like that, but he's a loving God.
Yeah, he
But
doesn't
yeah,
want to see his children suffer, or like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
well, he definitely doesn't want to see his children suffer. And for
Nope.
the people like, oh, then if he doesn't want to see us suffer, then why do we suffer? And that's like him just testing our faith,
Yeah.
and him just trying to push us through to become better humans, so that once we overcome these obstacles, then we can eventually live a life where we're better mentally ourselves, and we can help others to be better mentally as well.
Yeah, and it's also just like because we have free will, right? And God wants
Yeah.
to respect the free will, and he uses our free will, for his will. I know that was kind of a lot of wills, but yeah, I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, which makes sense. Which is why free will is a beautiful thing. Because you can't have love without free will. Like what we were talking about, like the dating stuff. Like Peter, like if like you found someone and you match with them, like and everything was going well with the relationship, and then a couple of months later, like your parents sit down and it was like, "Hey, Peter, we actually paid off like this girl that's like to like talk to you." She was kind of just like forced to do this, really.
GG.
Like you would feel like there was just no love there at all, right? But like
Yeah.
when you have two people that like willingly choose to love each other and sacrifice, their own desire to serve one another, like that's where willingly, without any ulterior motive, just because like they love each other, like that's what true love is. But yeah,
Facts.
okay. Now that we're done that, let's go to something more lighthearted and humorous. So now we have
Yes.
memes.
Hooray! We love memes! Memes! Yeah! Hooray! Complete 180. We went from talking about, God and
The
suffering
state of
and
the world.
humanity
Yeah.
to memes. Something everyone can relate to. Whether you're atheist, you believe in a God, you don't. Who doesn't like memes?
Exactly. All right.
Yeah, I sent this one. So
Okay.
this is a video that I sent in, and we're just playing a couple of videos that both of us like probably have not shown the other friend because we, like any normal friend does, we send each other memes. So yeah, like we just kind of hopefully you guys enjoy it, and like we'll give our thoughts behind it. But yeah, memes. Let's watch.
Let's see this first one.
Flashing lights is all she ever wanted. Begging on her knees to be popular. That's her dream to be popular. Can you
See,
and
and
you
you know
want to
what?
be
You like this is what I like. This is what I like about like mods and like why I still kind of believe like PCs are just like at first I was a console guy, but PCs are superior because you can do stuff like this. You can do stupid stuff like this and just see SpongeBob dunk on LeBron James. Like, did we
That's
need
tough.
this? No. But was it funny? Yes.
Tough.
That is tough.
Let's get to the next one.
He got the and one too.
All right, let's do this. When Arab that when they're jealous of you. Let's see.
Back. Where are you gonna go? I'm just gonna go to the mall cook my friends. I'm not giving you no mothership money for the mall. I don't need your money no more. So how you gonna pay for that shit? You don't have money. I just picked up a shift. $800. How you have money? You work less than me. How you make $800? Last week I worked way more than you. I don't get paid that shit. It's not that big of a deal. I just want some clothes. Clothes? Why you feel the need to get clothes? I have way less clothes than you. I got no drip. You get all the drip. I work way more than you for the rent and light bill. You want to make money? You pay for the rent or shit. You don't want shit. You're not getting shit. Bitch. That's a package for you, brother. That's the third one you ordered this week. My clothes. Oh, my clothes. How much did you pay for that shit? This one is $400. This one what? $400. $400. Wow, very nice to meet you, Jeffrey Bezos. Very nice. It's Jeffrey Bezos, Dad. I need your money no more.
The funny thing is like, because to me, like, I'm not Arab, but like I'm like Assyrian, and at the end of the day, we're all from the Middle East. You know, like I can relate to this in a sense. I'm pretty sure you can relate to it. Maybe not exactly like one for one like this, but like you'll just be like, "Hey, Dad." Especially dads. Dads are always like this. Like sometimes moms not only as much because they baby their sons, but when it's like this, and dads are like, "What do you mean you spend money on this? Well, just because you make money now, do you get all this and all that?" And they're just like, like they want what's best for you at the end of the day, but the way they say it just makes them sound like a hater.
Yeah, no,
it's just funny.
I know, bro. Especially about prices. The price one actually did hit. Now, how much does it cost? Yeah, I just don't tell them, but it's all right.
I mean, $800.
All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see, what's
this is the GOAT, the King of Ohio.
All right, let me see.
Wait. Mi gente, un video más para anunciarle que me fui de TikTok de tantos memes y volví aquí y estoy hallando los memes. Así no. What's up?
Okay. Wait. The reason why this one is so funny, like Don Ohio, if you guys are probably on TikTok or Instagram, whatever, you guys always hear like the memes where it's just like the craziest audio. And it's like the Schlaug owns money to the landlord, or just like crazy audios. A lot of them originate from this gentleman right here, Don Ohio, also known as the King of Ohio. Like, he's funny, and he understands that like the things he says are funny, and people find it funny. And even though he's speaking in a foreign language that like millions of people who you listen to the audio don't even understand, they just find it funny, and he's willing to give what the people want. And it's just hilarious.
He's like the father of like those cursed audios.
Yes. Like literally, he'll make the audio and then they convert it into the cursed audios.
That guy's so tough, bro. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, it's him. Don Polo carrying the internet. Like he's him.
All right, see this.
Oh, this is so crazy.
I cannot believe what Charles Barkley said.
Right. I saw Jeff Twist the other night. That's one of my goals.
Oh, you need to be out there.
I would love to sit on top of the monster.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Jeff Twist.
You would enjoy it.
I want to sit on the.
You've been to Fenway before. Right?
I've never been to Fenway.
You've been to Fenway.
I've never been to Fenway.
Oh man!
No, but I want to sit on it. I'll donate money to charity to sit on top of the monster.
As big.
Oh, that's the biggest.
You need to have you been to
the
Wrigley?
biggest pause moment ever.
You're going to Fenway too. Okay.
I love how professional Ernie is here. He keeps going.
He's like, "Oh, you've never been on this like amusement park ride before?" He's like, "No," and then I would love to sit on top of the mods. Like, come on, man.
He knows, bro. He knows.
No, there's no way. I feel like he does what he doesn't. He's just tweaking for that.
Okay.
I would love to sit on top of the monster. No. Peak content Jamaicans.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
I don't know the camera. The card put my mouth just like dropped. My jaw dropped, bro. Come on, man.
They got so excited, like, yeah, and then just Oh my gosh, man.
That is so crazy.
They're different, bro.
I love them. They're great. You know what?
Jamaicans are awesome. We love our Jamaican people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the movie. I have to watch it again. Let's do this. African leader trying to stop corruption. Sniper on top of a building from 3 blocks away. That's it.
Like, it's just
Come on, man.
it's fucked up. It's fucked up, and this is true. Like, there are politicians who get assassinated, not just like African leaders. It's like all around the world. Like, they'll just get murked for no reason because they just stand against the government and stop corruption. But come on, man. The Fortnite sound effect, like, it's just funny. I just found that funny just because of how goofy it is.
That was pretty good. All right, let's go on to my clips. Mine are just all on YouTube. These are pretty long, but we'll figure it out.
Enjoy.
All right, let's see this.
What the hell is this?
It's average Chinese streamer. I could not tell you what game he's playing. I thought it was CSGO, but this is like the Chinese version.
Chinese CSGO?
Yeah.
This is like...
He's going, though.
Like,
look at him go.
Like, I think this is what it is like to have autism. Like, I think he's giving, like... If he did have autism, this is what it's like. Simulation.
What do you know? But he's killing him, bro. Look, he made that jump, bro. It's a sick jump.
I don't even know, like, what he's not even bunny hopping. This guy's bunny fly. Average Chinese stream rage?
Really, bro.
Oh my, he's tweaking! Yo, relax! Bro took that shit to heart.
Out of the keyboard, bro.
That keyboard did not see that coming.
So, yeah, this is how Mexican parents teach their kids. You know, you had the Arab one, and now we got the Mexican one.
Sí sabes, porque ¿cómo si sabes jugar el PS4? Y hasta buscas los amigos.
I'll put on subtitles.
Buddy is cheese.
He is cheese, bro.
¿Y no estás enojado?
Hasta tiemblas, ni comes y hasta tiemblas. Y las pistolas más grandotas que puedas encontrar. Ven a hacer tarea, David. David.
He is pissed.
He slams the door too at the end.
The worst part is the mom is serious, but like she's laughing too because she knows this shit's funny.
I know, bro. I related to that kid on a different level, bro. That's what my mom would do.
Oh my God,
if I had the PS4 when I was growing up, yeah, that's what she would have been doing. Man,
it's funny, but it's messed up.
This is so funny. Okay, next one. The next one's just gonna be a bunch of Tyler One and Greek God X. That's what I've been watching.
Watch all 36 minutes of
No. I have specific clips. Don't worry. Just chill.
Okay.
Hello?
Talk, man. If I say talk, fucking speak.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello? Can I speak to your KFC manager? Is that good?
About what?
About the latest deal on your chicken. Yesterday I bought some fries and one of the fries were black. Did you overcook them?
See, this is what I mean.
Okay, I will go to my Dodge Charger. I live in East LA. Okay? I'm going home to my dad.
Okay.
Oh shit, I kicked the curb. Now my J's are stuffed.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'll stop.
This is like when they were the duo on Twitch, this was like peak Twitch. This is where Twitch peaked, and now we just have dog shit. This was
They're actually the Shaq and Kobe of Twitch.
Facts.
Just for a minute. Oh, that was so good. So sad, bro. Like they don't stream anymore. All right.
What is? Oh my God.
Next one, yeah.
That photo is still insane.
My glitter bottle is broke because I'm awesome. So when are you restocking? I need a new one. Wait, hey, you must have fucking ran it over with a fucking tank because that's the only way that shit breaks.
No.
Shut up, Greek.
No, mine
Shut
got
up, Greek.
delivered
Shut up,
broken.
Greek. Shut up.
Mine got delivered broken. Mine got delivered broken.
That
so
guy's just alpha as fuck all around the board.
I didn't fucking blame him. You can't throw that shit around in the gym. You have to like strategically place it in a safe place.
Shut
Just
up.
one fucking knock to the floor, that shit shatters. The plastic, I swear, this plastic has sun damage because they must have left it out in the sun because the plastic is like rotten.
Eee.
It's like broken. It's like
Shut up.
Come
Matt
on,
Link did
man.
that too, but and Wildbat 2748. Thank you guys. All right.
Did I tell you that my shirt had rat poop and mice poop from the warehouse?
Dude, you actually affect
The
my
warehouse,
sales, okay?
It smelled moldy.
Stop!
It smelled moldy, Tyler.
He hangs up on him.
All right. Anyway,
He did not want the bad promo for his shit.
Oh.
Moldy,
He didn't
Tyler.
know.
Do you know what moldy is? It smelt it. It smelled like it had got damp, and then it dried out, and then got damp again. They must have left it in the damp place in the warehouse, my shirt.
That
'Cause
is
it had rat
crazy.
poop, and it was moldy. I washed it though, and guess what? When I washed it, the text washed off. So it's just a black t-shirt now, Tyler. It's just a black t-shirt. Doesn't say anything, because the text washed straight off. The reformed text washed off, Tyler. Now it's just a t-shirt that's blank. Not even, it doesn't even say reformed anymore.
That guy's just alpha.
High quality merch.
Oh my gosh, bro. It's so good. Yeah, definitely not buying merch from him anymore. All right, one more Tyler one. And then, yeah, that'll be it.
Look all around the board.
close your fucking neck down. Do you hear me? So I won't have to hear your fat fucking voice. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm a computer science major. I have ties
All
in
right,
places
fucking
you don't even know
shorty.
exist. I'm in everything.
I could
Mafia.
fucking kick you like a football, you're that short.
Okay.
Boys,
That's just messed up, man.
I might end up turning off text to speech anyway on my channel.
Oh my god. Why? Because
it's so
faster than you stuttering through the donation. You had a fucking struggle saying text to speech there, didn't you? Boys, I might turn off.
No, because I'm sick of
I
hearing
might
it.
turn off text to speach, boys.
Oh
No,
my God.
you need her to help you read out the donations. Because if not, the stream's going to be twice as long. Please, do not turn it off. Do not
That's
turn off
messed up.
text to speech. We are going to.
He literally just said to his face, "You don't know how to. You do not know how to speak and read." Just call him stupid.
That's the beef.
Yeah, that's a nice little break from all the serious talk. Just something to lighten up the mood. Quite funny indeed. What's next on the chopping block?
I wanted to get into anime dub versus sub because I know a lot of our viewers they love anime, and this is like the age old debate. I think where blood has been shed, not actual blood, but
Reddit points. Reddit karma has been.
Reddit karma has been lost, bled out.
Yeah.
But I did see an interesting video, and I wanted to talk to you about it, and then to get everyone else's opinion. So, just like to give the background, I think most of us, or most of the people that are watching, I think we all grew up with like watching anime in some form, whether it be like Pokemon, DBZ, Naruto, right? Just like on regular cable, but like, we only had the dub, and I think as kids we just assumed there's just like another type of like cartoon.
Yeah.
Which like for me like I still have that like like Sonic X, bro, like that. I remember we looked it up and that's like technically considered anime, but like my brain doesn't like perceive it as that. Like I'm like, no, this is not anime.
It's because it's so Americanized. Like it's like
Mhm.
this is like American anime, so we just call it a cartoon.
Yeah, I know.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. And then eventually at some point of their life, some people earlier, some people later, like you eventually discover like an illegal website. I'm not going to name any examples. Don't take me down. And then we discovered that there's subbed anime, right? And then we make the connection in our brain, like neurons connect, that the dub that we see on cable.
Insert the monkey neuron meme when you're saying that. Go
nice. And then we'll realize that like the dub is actually behind like a bunch of episodes, like a sizable amount of episodes from the sub. And then we're like, okay, we're just gonna watch the sub now. And then you just keep watching subs forever. Like that's how your normal way to consume anime, right?
Yeah.
Even today, because like back then, like there wasn't anything like Crunchyroll or Funimation. Well, that's just Crunchyroll now, but I would say like even now it's like completely valid to like watch seasonal anime like dub. As like there's like simulcasting and then like animes like released with dubs alongside the sub, but like people still stick to like subs. So, what do you think that is, Peter?
What do I think is the right choice, or what do I
Or
think?
why do you think like people still just watch subs, even though like dubs are getting better and they're pretty like valid now?
I feel like people just don't like to read. I feel like that's legitimately one of the reasons why people stick to dub over sub, at least from the way I see it. Like because you have a lot of people when they watch a show, they want to just sit down and enjoy it, and they don't care how it's like how the characters sound in dub or anything like that. They just don't want to have the hassle to read, essentially to use their brain while watching a show. They want their brain just to be completely off. So
Wait,
they'll watch.
No, go on.
I was gonna say they'll watch dub and just accept it. And when people say to them, "Well, why don't you watch sub?" I feel like that's one of the main reasons why. Uh, Another reason would probably be like they just don't want to read while eating because a lot of people like eat when they watch.
Yeah.
But that's probably like another reason behind it. I think
So why do you think people? I'm assuming you think sub is better, right?
it is better
But why do you think that is?
because the voice Japanese voice actors compared to Western voice actors are just significantly better. They are significantly better at portraying emotion. They're significantly better at delivering their lines, whether it be simple or difficult. It's no matter what there just feels like there's more of a punch behind it. Like when I listen to like One Piece, a One Piece dub is not the best. Like I'm not a fan of like Luffy. A lot of the characters are annoying or just too. They don't feel genuine and they don't feel like it suits the character. But when I listen to sub, I feel like the voice actors understand what this character is supposed to sound like and how they're based on their personality. While dub is just more like they'll try to imitate it, but it's just not as good.
Well, that's interesting. I was looking back into it, and like voice acting as a career is like more procedures in Japan. Like they actually have like whole. It's actually really cool. They have like whole schools for it, and like they have like super strict training. And like, and even if you go through all that training, like it's still not guaranteed you'll like land a spot, right?
Yeah.
So would you think it's fair to say like that the VAs in Japan or just voice acting in general in Japan it's like there's a higher standard for it than there is in like NA?
There is definitely a higher standard because I think the thing is with voice acting in Japan is that they also not need to just know how to voice act. They need to know how to sing. They need to know how to act as well. Not just like general voice acting, but like actual acting like in a play. Like they need to go through a lot of, like you said, rigorous tests, and it's still not even guaranteed.
Yep.
A voice actor, you can just go in and you can just essentially like what is it, audition for a role. Same thing with regular acting, and if people like you, they'll like you. Now the thing is with Western voice acting and just Western arts in general is that a lot of people do develop this through school and they get educated. But is it as rigorous as the way it is done in Japan? No, because the standard is just so much higher there, which is why I feel like sub is significantly better than dub comparatively.
So, so the argument that like this person made is that first of all, dubs obviously dubs can be extremely cringe. I don't need to like give you an example. So we all know, like we all have like an example of our mind of like a really bad moment.
Yeah.
But the argument he makes is it because anime, or at the very least, anime dialogue is cringe too? Like, all right, actually you can go. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it depends on the show. Like My Hero
Mhm.
can be sub dub. That shit is always cringe. It's always cringy. It's always stupid. The writing is so lackluster. Or something like I used to like something like Demon Slayer a lot, but after 3 seasons, like it got tiresome. Where it's like, oh, by the power of friendship, we'll be able to prevail. And like when I feel like for those animes, it's very shallow and it's very like when they say it, it does not feel like there's a lot of passion behind it because the way the plot is constructed. It's very linear and very simple. But when you have an example like my favorite anime of all time, One Piece, it's still on a basis. Like they fight for their friends, but when you go into it, it goes so much more in depth. Why do they fight for their friends? Is because their friends have gone through something traumatic in the past. or something very complex. Like they go into a lot of complex topics that other shows aren't able to go into or choose not to go into. Like stuff like fucked up shit like slavery, racism. I don't know why I added the extra ism. And just other complex complex issues that modern society is still facing nowadays. Some animes like are able to take that next step and become more realistic with what characters suffer through, or more serious through what characters suffer through.
Yeah. And you're right. But I also think about like like that average like anime feature friendship or whatever they say before like they beat the guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a difference, and this guy made the argument too. There's a difference between actually like reading that and actually like people having hearing someone say it out loud in like a language you actually understand, right? So it because like anime is like is really over the top, like bro, like it is, and it can be like very cheesy and melodramatic, and but like there's like a filter. I feel like when it comes to subs, because like you're interpreting the dialogue at least slightly, not as much as like if you were just like reading manga, right? But there's still a term of an interpretation, right? Like in Naruto, bro. Like Naruto, like literally like talks and like convinces like a villain that's been like killing everyone is like super strong. That's like not to do that, right? And like the way he goes about it, like it's passable and like sub, but like in English, like okay, like yeah, it's just like it's really stupid. Like
yeah.
But another point like that he made was really interesting. But I'll set it up. I wanna ask you this. Can you name me one sub of anime that you watched? Because you watched a good amount. That is bad comparatively to other subs. Yeah, bad.
I think that's kind of impossible.
Exactly.
I think that's genuinely impossible. While there are some dubs that might be better than sub, there is no sub that's bad.
And that's the point he was making. It's like you can't nitpick any or give any sort of like criticism on like sub performances like you do to the English dubs, because we actually don't understand Japanese, so we can't actually like really think about like the intricacies and like of certain words or how like they say things as we can do on English, right? Like an example he gave was like Erased. Like the main characters were like voiced by people that had no experience in voice acting. Like it was just like a bunch of live action people, right? And like a lot, and some people like took it as like being inexperienced and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also think it's just like anime speech and like how characters talk is like way different from like how actual people speak, and they have to like kind of portray that in dubs. That's why it sounds so unnatural and cringe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cause yeah, like there's actually like a Filthy Frank clip I'll just like insert, because like the Japanese people like don't actually talk how people speak in anime, right? Like that's why there's like the quote that anime is Japanese but it's not Japan.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with like cartoons, like the Western cartoons. Like no one from in real life talks like how they talk in SpongeBob or in The Last Airbender or et cetera, et cetera. Like that's applicable to anywhere. The issue is that like when you're trying to construct something that is unrealistic or even realistic in an unrealistic genre, which is animation, right? Like animation at the end of the day, it's all fiction. The only fiction? Yeah. It's all sorry, I forgot. It's all fiction at the end of the day. Even if it's based on real events. Did it really happen like that? We don't know. Did they really speak like that? We don't know. And there can be tie-ins to history at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, you're trying to portray something that isn't real, and it's based on there is some point where there is fiction tied into it.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to interpret something that either you've never seen that's based on real events or something that's completely just made up. So like when the guy makes a fair point, like we can't understand Japan, we can't understand Japanese. We can't interpret the Japanese language properly. Like unless if like you speak English and Japanese, properly the way they speak English, here, and they speak how they speak Japanese in Japan. Because when you travel to different countries, like the language is like French, like Quebec French is different from actual French. If you learn Japan in the Western society, is it going to be the same as Japan in Japanese in Japan? Fuck, like I keep mixing up the two words. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No,
It's language language is a very unique thing. There's actually a meme where it's like, this is how Middle Eastern people interpret English, and it's just some guy speaking gibberish but with a Texas accent on it. Like, it sounds like how we think it sounds, and it sounds good because we just don't understand it at the end of the day. Like, if we didn't have those subtitles up, they'd just be saying a bunch of nonsense, but it sounds cool. The subtitles is what saves us, and we're like, man, he's saying that? That's awesome, and he's saying it in a sick voice. That's cool. But when you actually convert it to English, like, of course it's going to sound like shit. Like, it's like, when Deku says, I fight for my friends, or I have to fight because I don't want to put anyone else's burden on, I don't want to put this burden on anyone else. Like, in Japanese, it at least sounds good because it's in a context where you just cannot understand at the end of the day. But when you convert that to English, like, of course it's going to sound like dog shit. It just sounds like some generic dog shit story like you hear growing up in fifth grade. Like, of course it's going to sound like ass. But and that's with everything.
That's the thing, though. That I think I agree with like the guy that it's like an anime specific problem, because there's certain animes that aren't really like whose dubs are good. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, think of like Death Note. Like, Death Note has a good dub, but it's not really anime. Like you know how like our friend Atticus, like, he's been getting into anime, and we all recommended him Death Note first. There's a reason why we recommended him that anime and not like something like K-On! Like, because it's. I mean,
I didn't recommend him that. You know what I recommended him.
I know what you recommended him, but you know what I mean, though. Like animes like Death Note, Full Metal, and like Cowboy Bebop aren't really like they don't follow the same like stereotypes and as like anime does, or the same tropes, right? And I think like the tropes just sound worse, and they're pretty common as well.
Yeah, the tropes are very common, where it's like, we fight for our friends, we fight because we're good, and there's evil in the world. But the way good and evil is portrayed in a lot of these animes is very unrealistic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a bunch of cringe stuff about anime. The episode's kind of running kind of long, but I think we'll save that for next time. But overall,
I think if you watch dub, you need to actually find God if you haven't found him. And if you watch sub, you are the pinnacle of humanity, and you're normal. That's my closing remarks on that. Fuck you if you watch dub. Just kidding. But like, yeah.
All right, I'll have to edit that out. Okay. Overall, I don't agree with them. I agree with you. I think. Oh wait, can you hear me?
You can't. Yeah, you can't even think properly because like.
Sorry, bro. I got distracted. Anyways, yeah, I'll start again. Yeah, yeah, I don't agree with you. I think dub is like valid. It depends. Like, the guy brought up a point where it's like more realistic, depending on the setting of the story. Like, Full Metal is like based in like in a somewhere English speaking, so it makes sense like to have like it in English dub. Because like, there's some like weird cases, like in Vinland Saga, like there was like a scene where, someone, like, there was like a kid that was like English, and then there's like another woman that was like some other race, and they're like, oh well, yeah, but I can't really understand you. But like there's kind of like a disconnect, because like they both speak in Japanese, so they're like, so like your mind's kind of like, but you guys are speaking the same language. I don't know. So it kind of breaks like the illusion a little bit. Overall, I'm still watching subs, but I think manga is better.
Sub is superior, and dub is poo-poo. But if you can read manga, yes, definitely read the manga. At the end of the day, that should be the first option.
Yeah, it's like this famous quote I found on Reddit. I watch my anime sub or dubbed. If I wanted to read, I pick up a manga.
Facts. But I like the pretty colors, so watch the anime too.
Nice. All right. And that's it. That's all our topics.
That's all. Yeah, that's all of our topics. Please leave what you guys think in the comments for any topic we discussed. Once again, if you want to recommend something to us, please feel free to recommend anything. We're more than happy to try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you once again for joining us on episode 3. We wish you guys all the best. Make sure to tell everyone that you love them, your loved ones, your friends, your family members. Make sure to eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner so you get all your nutrients. And don't forget to wipe your ass while you poop. Have a good night, and we'll see you later, alligators.